The moon is bright, the winds are laid, and the river is roaring by orange swings, with his belted lights low down in the western sky, north and south from the mountain gorge to the heart of the silver plain. There's many an eye will see no sleep till the east grows bright again. There's many a hand will toil tonight from the center down to the sea. And I am far from the men I used to know, and my love is far from me. What was on Michael's mind that night as he gazed into the sturgeon moon? When we first seen the disturbing story of Michael's disappearance, we wondered who he was and how he could have disappeared with an estimated group of 60 people. This is Michael's story through the eyes of strangers. At first we found Michael had grown up around the Harrisburg Junction City area just outside of Eugene, Oregon. It seems he was the typical boy, playing ball, and was a member of the Boy Scouts that grew up in church. It wasn't till his teenage years he discovered his empathy for mankind in the world in which he lived in. He traveled to Mexico to do missionary work, building houses, then on to Kenya and Liberia. He also had a passion for music. After high school, he enrolled in a Christian college, but dropped out about a year after enrolling. This is when his parents noticed changes in his life. His parents have also said he had been on different medications for depression and anxiety, even though he was never diagnosed with a particular mental health issue. They stated he would start taking the prescription medication, then after a week or so, he would stop taking it due to different reasons. Michael was a recreational drug and alcohol user at first, then started experimenting with dangerous drugs over time. They seemed to feel he was self-medicating for the depression and anxiety that he was still experiencing at the time of his disappearance, several of his friends have stated. Michael was a lost soul trying to find his place in this world. It's a very lonely road to be on if no one around you has ever experienced it. He soon sought refuge with like-minded people with similar life experiences. Being able to converse gave him a welcoming sense of belonging and peace, which is a form of healing. Monday, August 3rd, 2020, Michael stopped by his parents' house in Harrisburg, Oregon. He told them he was riding up with a friend to a week-long birthday party camping trip at Hobo Campground near Dorena, Oregon. It has been stated on different sites he had made previous riding arrangements with female friends that schedules music for these kind of events, but he had a late afternoon doctor's appointment, so he rode with Ben. Michael and Ben were both invited to the Rave to help DJ. That day, Michael had messaged his former girlfriend, who he's still very close to, and told her he had an off feeling about the party, but his feeling was contained, so he was good, or so he thought. They left around 8:30 Monday night, heading to the Renegade, and arrived about 10:30 p.m. Friends and acquaintances have told their accounts of what they seen happening at the Renegade from August 3rd to August 5th. It was stated that Michael was seen taking ketamine, MDMA, and drinking alcohol. One person stated at some point he was nauseated and sweating profoundly, and another reported him being quiet and withdrawn, possibly due to his drug and alcohol intake. No one reported Michael being in any altercations with anyone. There was a noise complaint, and a forest ranger came out and warned them to turn the music down or their DJ equipment would be confiscated. There was also a couple of other conflicts, but neither included Michael. It is unclear if he actually had $600 or $200 missing. It's unclear if his wallet was ever found. So what led up to the mystery surrounding his disappearance between 4 and 4:30 a.m. on August 5th? It was originally reported after some of his friends had went to sleep, he was hanging out on the big bus with two young ladies when he became, and I think the terminology used was psychosis or psychosis-like symptoms, and said no one wanted him there and got off the bus and walked away. The way it was explained is the door opening led out into the road. It was said the people on the bus started to look around for him, even getting into a car and riding up and down the road looking for him without any prevail. The news of him missing was being broadcasted around the camp area, but no one seen anything. Many people figured he may have laid down somewhere and went to sleep, and there was so many people there slumbering. It was so hard to distinguish him from others at that time of the morning, especially when most of the attendees were drinking and doing drugs themselves. It was stated that many people looked for Michael up and down the road with flashlights and used a bullhorn to call out to him. They were in an area where there was no cell phone signal, so one of the young ladies that last seen Michael and a guy said they were going to go get help, but their trip into Eugene ended up them taking showers and picking up a friend that had left his car at the camp days prior so he could pick it up. When they returned to camp hours later with no help, Michael's friend that he rode into the Renegade with drove to an area with cell phone service and called law enforcement, which sent search and rescue. I would like to insert a note in here. The young lady that made the trip to Eugene, supposedly to get help, but didn't, is also the sister to one of the two people that last seen Michael before his disappearance and sent a text while in Eugene to a friend. The text read, "Also, we may or may not have spun Michael out, and he is lost in the woods." It goes on to say, "We threw a Renegade and came into town to refresh, and no one has seen him." After contacting law enforcement and search and rescue, Michael's friends got in touch with Michael's roommate just to check and make sure he had not made it back home. That Michael's former girlfriend was called, and she contacted Michael's mother in the late afternoon of August 5th. Approximately 10 to 12 hours after now passed since he was last seen. The parents headed toward Hobo Camp, and while driving there, they called and made a police report by phone with limited information. They reached the campground, found that search and rescue was already there talking with the people who was attending the party, and started organizing the search. A search of the surrounding wooded area turned up few clues as to Michael's whereabouts. Horses, drones, and hundreds of rescue volunteers were deployed in the search efforts and the campground near Dorena, Oregon. Friends of Michael's, including his former girlfriend, hung his missing posters up throughout the region and followed up on any tips and sightings of Michael along with helping in the search. On September 11th, the Umpqua National Forest had issued a temporary closure order for the Cottage Grove and Tiller Ranger districts due to fire danger, but reopened on September 28th, and the search had continued. But lack of evidence of foul play and no signs of Michael in the surrounding area left law enforcement scratching their heads. A private investigator and also the father of Michael's former girlfriend, who resides in California, offered his services pro bono to Michael's family. There was another individual who, after doing his own investigation and researching among other things, has stated he has been told Michael's disappearance did not happen when he stepped off that bus, but surprisingly at the DJ area off the campground. He claims to know who was involved and what took place and had visual proof. He talks about a group of people that came to the party after being tipped off by one or more people that knew Michael was going to be there. Possibly someone with a personal vendetta against Michael was suggested. Could this vendetta be due to the shipment of ketamine that Michael lost in the mail? Or is this all just speculation? In mid-December, Michael's father got a call from a person who saw something on Bryce Creek Road, a mile west of Hobo Camp, between Cedar Creek Campground and Ludd Park Campground. The Lane County Sheriff's Office and search and rescue teams were notified. He said when they arrived, they found some of the items Michael was last seen wearing. They were found in an area that had been combed through earlier in the search. My gut tells me that they were probably placed there, Michael's father has stated, because of the intensity of some of the individuals that went down through there. It's really hard to believe that they were there the whole time. It's obvious that any professional would be able to tell if an article of clothing has been sitting out in the weather for a lengthy period of time, and I guess time will tell if they were placed there. The teams continued to search throughout the week, but did not find any more clues. However, the family suspects foul play and believes Michael did not wander away from the camp. I wonder what the reasoning was behind contacting his father instead of law enforcement was, in which it really doesn't matter as long as it was reported. On August 12th, it's been stated that a blood-stained white t-shirt was found alone with a receipt for Lane County Public Works Waste Management Division at 3040 North Delta Highway in Eugene, Oregon, which it has been said is the location of the county dump. August 5th at 1:56 p.m., approximately 10 hours after Michael's disappearance. They paid $12.50 for using the facilities or services rendered. It was also stated a searcher found a bullet casing of an unknown caliber near the shirt, but did not turn it over to authorities. On a Facebook post, someone stated the shirt was turned into the authorities for DNA testing. Results are unknown at this time. The family feels that Michael is no longer on this earth and feels foul play is involved. They believe the attendees of the party are not being truthful. The possibility of the vast majority of people there knowing nothing about what happened to Michael is unreal. They were there to have a good time, many to drink and do their drug of choice. Unless there was a huge commotion going on, they would have never noticed him walking off the bus. It was stated the opening of the door to the bus faced the road, and he could have gotten off the bus, turned left or right, and not have been noticed by the majority of the attendees. Michael had mental and emotional problems such as depression, which I would be willing to bet he had dealt with longer than most realize. Feeling you are not wanted or not worthy enough to be loved is a very heavy burden to carry, especially when men have the mentality pushed on them since birth by society that they have to be strong and not let their feelings overwhelm them, and never let anyone see your weaknesses. Left without the coping skills to control one's depression mixed with the drugs and alcohol abuse is a lethal mix. Addiction and recovery from addiction is a hard task of its own. Up until now, I have never heard of an addict recovering while still using other drugs and alcohol. Researchers suggest that as long as your brain is dependent on a substance to feel okay, it's not healing, and in most cases, anything short of sobriety is not healing. Michael was battling both. Most people that knew Michael well has stated there was no way he would ever walk away from his life. Does anyone really know where the depths of his mind was that night? I'm going to take a wild guess and say most likely no, they did not. Was him walking off the bus a drug-related emotional reaction, or was he at a very low point of his depression? Or was he at the point of overdosing? Does anyone really know? At this point, all the factors happening in Michael's life needs to be reevaluated before coming to the conclusion that he has passed. Michael was a lonely and lost soul with possible severe depression and addiction. It is possible he walked away from it all. Could someone pick him up? Could he have actually wandered off, laid down, and passed in his sleep? Is there any evidence of foul play as the man stated he knew about? And if so, who are the suspects and the proof of the murder? Is law enforcement investigating his disappearance as a missing case or a criminal case? At this point, beyond all the speculation, intuition, arguing, judgments, and wrongdoing, sadly, Michael Bryson is still missing. It would be very interesting to hear David Palde's perspective on Michael's disappearance. Michael is described as being 6 foot tall and weighing approximately 180 pounds, with short brown hair and hazel eyes. He was last seen wearing a white t-shirt, black shorts, and white Crocs with rainbows on them. Michael might be also wearing a brown corduroy baseball cap. He has several tattoos on both legs, ribs, and his arms. Anyone who may have information about Michael's whereabouts is asked to contact the Lane County Sheriff's Office at 541-682-4150, then press 1 and reference case number 205286. There is a $10,000 reward being offered for information relating to Michael's disappearance. The administrators of The Missing Truth is sending our prayers and healing energy to Michael, his family, and friends. We bid you peace to Michael on your journey wherever that has led him, and to his family and friends that is struggling with the absence of Michael's smile and unanswered questions they need. For further updates on Michael's case, subscribe to The Missing Truth to receive notifications. Like us and leave us a comment. Like our Facebook page and join our private Facebook group. If you have a family member or friend that is missing and feel their case has not received the exposure it should have, contact us by email or send us a message on our Facebook page. Always remember, some sort of truth remains in a lie. Have a good night.